Deuteronomy 4. Moses is still giving us this long, epic, biographical monologue. And after regaling us with stories about his conquests, it's time to reveal more rules, because his people haven't suffered enough. Now, Israel, hear the decrees and laws I am about to teach you. Follow them so that you may live and may go in and take possession of the land the Lord, the God of your ancestors, is giving you. Do not add to what I command you, and do not subtract from it, but keep the commands of the Lord your God that I give you. No amendments. Everything I'm about to say is perfect, and you will never have to question it. Has that ever worked for any society? I mean, America is broken, but even we have a way to alter bad laws. At least theoretically. Moses is just saying, my first draft is gonna be my final draft. This will not end well. This also means any biblical rules, as idiotic as they may be, must always be defended no matter what. Because getting rid of a dumb rule means you're actually being critical of the entire Bible. There is no amendment process, which probably explains why conservative Christians are so insufferable when it comes to making laws. There's no room in their narrow-minded faith for sensible changes to bad ideas. Being a conservative Christian means being stuck with the supposed moral righteousness of people who lived in the past. Their entire worldview is that the best days are behind them. You saw with your own eyes what the Lord did at Baal Peor. The Lord your God destroyed from among you everyone who followed the Baal of Peor, but all of you who held fast to the Lord your God are still alive today. See, I have taught you decrees and laws as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you may follow them in the land you are entering to take possession of it. Observe them carefully, for this will show your wisdom and understanding to the nations, who will hear about all these decrees and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. What other nation is so great as to have their gods near them, the way the Lord our God is near us whenever we pray to him? And what other nation is so great as to have such righteous decrees and laws as this body of laws I am setting before you today? It's amazing what we can accomplish when we just pretend our imaginary friend is a better friend than everyone else's imaginary friend. And when everyone else sees that our God is close by, they will reject their own long-distance relationships with their gods and join our team. Flawless logic. No notes. Great way to totally ignore all the children you've killed during your battles. And notice the arrogance at the end. What other nation is so great as to have such righteous decrees and laws? A lot of them. Egypt and Babylonia, just to name two, had codified laws long before the Israelites escaped from Egypt. God thinks he's special because no one has ever come up with a rule book before, even though they totally have. He's like a virgin who thinks he's discovered sex and wants to tell everyone about it. Congrats, buddy. I promise you a lot of people are way ahead of you on this one. And honestly, whatever you think you came up with probably isn't very good. You should, maybe check out what the experts are doing. Only be careful and watch yourselves closely so that you do not forget the things your eyes have seen or let them fade from your heart as long as you live. Teach them to your children and to their children after them. Remember the day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb when he said to me, assemble the people before me to hear my words, so that they may learn to revere me as long as they live in the land and may teach them to their children. You came near and stood at the foot of the mountain while it blazed with fire to the very heavens, with black clouds and deep darkness. Then the Lord spoke to you out of the fire. You heard the sound of words but saw no form. There was only a voice. He declared to you his covenant, the 10 Commandments, which he commanded you to follow, and then wrote them on 2 stone tablets. And the Lord directed me at that time to teach you the decrees and laws you were to follow in the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess. Remember when God showed up 4 decades ago and gave you a list of 10 rules? And you couldn't see him because he was hiding, but you heard a voice that was absolutely not my voice behind a curtain? Wasn't that convincing? Well, you have to do these things, or else I will kill you. Even though I'm technically not allowed to do that, but no one really cares. Just admit a volcano erupted. Stop acting like God caused a mountain to blaze with fire and create black clouds and darkness. A volcano erupted. It's not that unusual. You saw no form of any kind the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the fire. Therefore, watch yourselves very carefully, so that you do not become corrupt and make for yourselves an idol, an image of any shape, whether formed like a man or a woman, or like any animal on earth, or any bird that flies in the air, or like any creature that moves along the ground, or any fish in the waters below. And when you look up to the sky and see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the heavenly array, do not be enticed into bowing down to them and worshiping things the Lord your God has apportioned to all the nations under heaven. But as for you, the Lord took you and brought you out of the iron smelting furnace, out of Egypt, to be the people of his inheritance, as you now are. Got it. No idols that look human-like or animal-like. And no worshiping the sun or the stars, even though the sun is a star and no one caught that mistake. Of all the things they should not be doing, making an idol has to be the least problematic. Let the people have their toys. It's not that big of a deal. If I'm reading that section correctly, all religious art is an abomination to God. Christians should hate museums. I mean, technically creationists do. Also, these Israelites are said to be the people of God's inheritance, which means they are eternally obligated to God because of what he did for their ancestors. But who thinks it's a good idea for your life to be predetermined because of things that happened in the past? Isn't all of society built on the notion that you can escape a bad past or fail even if your ancestors succeeded? We're learning all the wrong lessons from this book. The Lord was angry with me because of you, and he solemnly swore that I would not cross the Jordan and enter the good land the Lord your God is giving you as your inheritance. I will die in this land. I will not cross the Jordan, but you are about to cross over and take possession of that good land. Be careful not to forget the covenant of the Lord your God that he made with you. Do not make for yourselves an idol in the form of anything the Lord your God has forbidden. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. Listen, if there's one thing we know about this God, it's that he's an egomaniac. No need to remind us that he has a short temper too. And why is Moses still blaming everyone else for his mistakes? We know about the stick and the rock and the tapping. We were there. It is so weird that Moses expects everyone to remember God's million different rules, but thinks everyone will forget what he and he alone did. After you have had children and grandchildren and have lived in the land a long time, if you then become corrupt and make any kind of idol, doing evil in the eyes of the Lord your God and arousing his anger, I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you this day that you will quickly perish from the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess. You will not live there long, but will certainly be destroyed. The Lord will scatter you among the peoples, and only a few of you will survive among the nations to which the Lord will drive you. There you will worship man-made gods of wood and stone, which cannot see or hear or eat or smell. But if from there you seek the Lord your God, you will find him if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. When you are in distress and all these things have happened to you, then in later days you will return to the Lord your God and obey him. For the Lord your God is a merciful God. He will not abandon or destroy you or forget the covenant with your ancestors, which he confirmed to them by oath. Wait. I know this is supposed to be about forgiveness, but Moses is saying that even if his people do worship false idols, the ones who survive the eventual massacre can always get back in God's good graces. Which means if God kills off most of these people, the survivors can always get on the good side of the God who just murdered their friends. Why would anyone want to do that? If this were a movie, those survivors would take revenge on the murderer, not worship him. Ask now about the former days, long before your time, from the day God created human beings on the earth. Ask from one end of the heavens to the other. Has anything so great as this ever happened? Or has anything like it ever been heard of? Has any other people heard the voice of God speaking out of fire as you have and lived? Has any God ever tried to take for himself one nation out of another nation, by testings, by signs and wonders, by war, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, or by great and awesome deeds, like all the things the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your very eyes? I mean, maybe? This entire story is written from one perspective. We have no idea what's going on in the lives of everyone else who's not part of the Christian narrative. You are always the main character in the story of your life. But it doesn't mean strangers aren't part of their own stories. Maybe other people have their own gods who have their own methods of communication. Maybe other gods have won battles in other countries. I mean, it's not like these people know what's happening in South America right now. And maybe those gods speak through mirrors. Or maybe those gods don't kill innocent civilians. We don't know. And we certainly wouldn't know from this book. This is like living next door to a restaurant and saying, isn't their food the best? I mean, maybe, but unless you've tried other cuisines, I don't trust your restaurant review. Or wait, call back. It's like listening to a virgin explain why the sex he just had was the best ever. I mean, it's theoretically possible, I suppose, but he's not in a position to make an accurate call on that one. You were shown these things so that you might know that the Lord is God. Besides him, there is no other. From heaven, he made you hear his voice to discipline you. On earth, he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words from out of the fire. Because he loved your ancestors and chose their descendants after them, he brought you out of Egypt by his presence and his great strength to drive out before you nations greater and stronger than you, and to bring you into their land to give it to you for your inheritance as it is today. I still think it's messed up that God liked people who lived a long, long time ago, and because of that, their descendants are blessed forever, while their enemies will suffer forever, even though they had nothing to do with that history. We should learn from our history and make up for past injustices, not prolong punishments just because our ancestors made the right or wrong decisions way back in the day. The entire Bible is just legacy admissions and rising inequality for life. Acknowledge and take to heart this day that the Lord is God in heaven above and on the earth below. There is no other. Keep his decrees and commands, which I am giving you today, so that it may go well with you and your children after you, and that you may live long in the land the Lord your God gives you for all time. Or else you'll be murdered. Come on, don't tell them to do something without acknowledging that they have no choice, because God is jealous and he'll murder them if they say no. Notice that line about how God is giving us this land for all time? No wonder so many conservative Christians deny climate change. They can't fathom the idea that the world isn't permanent because God told them it'd be here forever. And the Bible can't be wrong about anything, can it? Then Moses set aside 3 cities east of the Jordan to which anyone who had killed a person could flee if they had unintentionally killed a neighbor without malice aforethought. They could flee into one of these cities and save their life. The cities were these: Bezer in the wilderness plateau for the Reubenites, Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassites. It's very nice of God to create sanctuary cities for any one of his followers who accidentally murder someone. This was apparently such a problem, they needed entire cities to house them. Why is this section on sanctuary cities in a chapter about laws instead of the previous chapter about kingdoms? It's like the scrap of paper someone wrote this on got misplaced in the folder for this chapter. This is the law Moses set before the Israelites. These are the stipulations, decrees, and laws Moses gave them when they came out of Egypt and were in the valley near Beth Peor, east of the Jordan, in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon and was defeated by Moses and the Israelites as they came out of Egypt. They took possession of his land and the land of Og, king of Bashan, the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan. This land extended from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge to Mount Sirion, that is Hermon, and included all the Arabah east of the Jordan, as far as the Dead Sea below the slopes of Pisgah. We know where they are, my goodness. The entire map of the world right now is like this big. They've said this so many times. Are people still getting lost? It sounds like we're not done hearing about the laws, though, which turns out to be right, because we're going to hear the 10 Commandments all over again, for some reason. In addition to a bunch of other rules everyone's totally going to forget in 3 minutes. And with that, we have ended Moses' closing statement. He has now told the jury why all the evidence points in favor of God existing, and why they must worship that God specifically. And now he's resting his case. Was it an airtight argument? No. But if there's one thing we know about this jury, they don't ask good questions. They just believe whatever they are told. Also, the defense doesn't get to have a say in this courtroom. It is just a one-sided argument all the time. It's also unnecessary, because who among the Israelites would see manna fall from heaven, or all the plagues, or the quail storm, or the earthquakes on command, and still deny God's existence? I mean, you show me proof God did all that, and I would believe too. After 4 entire chapters rehashing everything we already knew, maybe we can move on to something more interesting. Or at least continue the storyline, wherever the hell we left off. It says a lot that the Bible has to remind us of things that just happened, because the writers know everyone is drifting off while reading this.